There's a lot to get to there. Just want to reiterate some of those comments President Trump made in the Oval Office with the Jordanian king just today. Aisha Hasni quoted them. Trump saying, "There's nothing to buy. We will have Gaza. No reason to buy. There's nothing to buy. It's Gaza. It's a war-torn area. We're going to take it. We're going to hold it. We're going to cherish it." All right, let's bring into the conversation right now our friend there at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies, Abdullah. He joins me. Hussein, thanks for being with us here. And you and I have talked so much about this. We haven't talked yet, though, about President Trump's idea for U.S. ownership of the Gaza Strip. He says we're going to hold it. We're going to cherish it. You know, in Trump's former previous life, he was a real estate tycoon, and he issued the book, The Art of the Deal. Is this what's going on here? Is he saying this in order to extract commitments from, say, Jordan, from, say, Egypt, to help out, to buy into the redevelopment costs of the Gaza Strip when the war is all said and done? Do you think that's what's going on here, or is there more to it?
Well, could be to an extent that he's just trying to bargain by taking this unprecedented way of handling things in Gaza. But look, to my mind, this is not the first time that someone comes up with such an idea. This goes as far back as 1953. This was the plan of the US, the UK, and the UN. UNRWA at the time was going to build a town in the Egyptian Sinai and to move residents of Gaza to live there. And they're thinking that, you know, they wanted a new big city with good infrastructure that can handle all these Palestinians. So at the time, it was not outrageous. The project fell apart because, you know, Nasser had internal politics stuff. So this idea is not new. I mean, you know, I'm happy that someone is back at it and getting some new ideas from outside the box.
Okay.
Until President Trump really tells us what he plans to do, what does cherish it mean exactly? Are we buying? Are we controlling? Are we leasing? Are we leasing a piece of land from the Egyptians? Because the Egyptians are going to concede any piece of land in the Sinai. Are we building a city over there? So there's a lot of details. And until President Trump gives us more, we'll just have to speculate and think, okay, this is how it was planned in the past. Maybe something similar will happen in the future.
Okay, but I mean, Hussein, 1953, that's a long time ago. That's more than 70 years ago. And this is very fresh right now in this conversation. You and I have talked a lot about the post-war landscape and the post-war future and what would Gaza look like when the war is all said and done, who will control it. Never in that conversation was whether or not the Palestinians would be able to live there. Just yesterday, President Trump said they don't have a right of return until at least the entire enclave is possibly rebuilt. We heard from Trump's special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff. He's estimating that the Gaza Strip won't be rebuilt fully for 15 to 20 years here. So I grant you that a lot of this is somewhat theoretical in nature, but now President Trump is getting these leaders like the Jordanian king right in front of him to respond here. And I want to put this up because the king there, King Abdullah II, he issued this after his meeting. Hussein, he said, "I reiterated Jordan's steadfast position against the displacement of Palestinians in Gaza and the West Bank. This is the unified Arab position. Rebuilding Gaza without displacing the Palestinians and addressing the dire humanitarian situation should be the priority for all." Why do you think King Abdullah didn't say that in front of Trump in the Oval Office?
Well, I think he was trying to be as diplomatic as he could be. But I have an issue with the word unified. I think unified here, look, even the Palestinians, even the Palestinian Authority and Hamas are not unified. And Hamas is not on board with most of the air plans. And Hamas is the main player here. Hamas clearly still governs and controls Gaza. So when we say unified, I'm not sure what this exactly means. To my mind, I think the King of Jordan is trying to keep the U.S. aid flowing to him without really outraging someone from this, Arab side, quote unquote. So I can't really read into his intentions, but what I think they are putting out do not amount to a plan. Because President Trump has a plan, and even though we're still scanty on details,
Right.
but no one else has any plan. I mean, what's the air plan? Go back to what? So until someone comes up with something that's real, I think we'll have to settle with this one,
Yeah, I mean, we are seeing subtle minor moves, at least in the language here, coming from Egypt. The Egyptians have said that they are going to commit something to the redevelopment costs of Gaza, but it doesn't seem like the Egyptians nor the Jordanians are budging about the Palestinian people and where they will go after the war themselves. It seems like they are very, very stuck on that idea, like they have been for decades. And so it would really be somewhat of a triumph if President Trump got them to take in some of these displaced Palestinians who are now refugees because of the war itself. But we're talking about two different things. We're talking about that issue, what to do with the Gaza Strip, and what the U.S.'s role will be once the war is all said and done. We're in a ceasefire right now, but according to Bibi Netanyahu, that could end before the start of the weekend. Do you anticipate, because of what Trump said in the Oval Office just yesterday about the hostages, that the war will be back by the weekend, that armaments will continue, airstrikes will continue, that phase one will be over? Do you anticipate that?
So let's unpack this. We have 3 points here. Number one, I saw the Egyptian statement. It called for a two-state solution. Now, the irony is that Hamas itself, that controls Gaza, refuses a two-state solution. So who is the Egyptian statement addressing? Who should accept this? The world or the people who are in Gaza? The second point is that never in history has anyone given Gazans the chance to choose. I mean, the Egyptian door to Gaza has been slammed shut over the past decades. If you're Gazan and you're trying to get out of Gaza through Egypt, you have to bribe your way through Egyptian security. So the question here, if we actually impress on the Egyptians to open the door, how many of these Gazans would say, listen, I'm not seeking a better life elsewhere. I want to stay in Gaza and keep living in a tent on the beach. So this is the second point that no one is taking into consideration. Let's see what these people want. I mean, the chance that whenever they got the chance, they voted with their feet and they left and they migrated elsewhere. The third point is whether this war, we go back to the war. Well, clearly, if the ceasefire stops, if Hamas stops releasing hostages and keeps on violating the ceasefire, I don't see how we don't go back to war.
Okay.
The reason the war stopped is because Hamas committed to doing a few things, and Hamas is not doing these things anymore. So the only rational, reasonable, logical conclusion would be that Israel will go back. And now with President Trump giving a date for that, I think that the chances of this war coming back are pretty high right now.
Yeah, I mean, that would kind of negate the entire first half of our conversation, because if the war is still going on, you can't talk about, rebuilding Gaza, repopulating it, what have you, until the war is all said and done. This was supposed to be a 3-phase ceasefire hostage deal, and phase one was set to last for 42 days. I've somewhat lost count. We'll get our viewers that number, but if it is so on the rocks here, maybe what President Trump is saying about the Gaza Strip, what to do with the Palestinians, is rendered moot. I mean, until the war is all said and done, until the sides can come back to the table here. I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but is Hamas, do they take ultimatums well? I mean, this was an ultimatum by President Trump. The Israelis signed on. I mean, how are they responding and reacting to that?
Well, this is classic diplomacy on the part of President Trump. You hold a carrot and a big stick. You speak softly and you hold your stick. If everything goes well, then you promise reconstruction and the improvement of the lives of Gazans and raising their living standards. If they don't, then you have to fight. I mean, this is how it works. You have diplomacy on one side, you have war on the other side. How does Hamas respond? We've seen Khalil al-Hayya, who is one of the top leaders of Hamas. He was in Tehran today, and he said in response to President Trump's ultimatum, he said that I tell President Trump that all options are on the table, including the military option. So now you have Hamas that's threatening President Trump and that's threatening Israel, and you're thinking, does this guy know what it means to go back to war? Does he think that he has the upper hand here? I don't think he does, but I'm not sure he knows that he doesn't.
Okay.
So we'll see if they keep on going in this direction. Like I said, war becomes inevitable, unfortunately, for both sides.
All right, Hussein Abdullah Hussein with the FDD. As always, we appreciate your insight into this very complex conflict, and we'll check in soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.